Hi, it's Mrs. LP here. Today we are learning to understand the relationship between percentages, fractions, and decimals. So you already know quite a lot about fractions, percentages, and decimals, and you have a general idea of the relationship between them. So, for example, you know that when you read a fraction, the top number is out of the bottom number. For example, 4 over 5 can also be read as 4 out of 5. And 20 over 100 can also be read as 20 out of 100. Another thing that you already understand is how equivalent fractions work. So you understand that 3 out of 20 is the same as 15 out of 100. And you've learned before that what you need to do is multiply this by 5 to get 15, and therefore you multiply this by 5 to get 100. So that's how you get equivalent fractions. Okay, another thing that you should already know is that percentage means out of 100. Percent in French literally means per 100. So 50% is the same as 50 out of 100, which means 50% is also can also be written like that. So that's something that you, in your first test that you did, you've demonstrated you could do something simple like that. Another thing that you already understand is that decimals deal with tenths and hundredths. So, for example, 0.1 can also be read as 1/10, which means 0.1 is the same as 1 out of 10. And 0.01 can also be read as 1/100th, which means it's the same as 1 out of 100. So that's some of the understandings that you should already have, or we think you already have, about the relationship between fractions, decimals, and percentages. If we are wrong and you actually are listening to this being like, hang on, I don't get that, then stop the video, go talk to a teacher, make sure that you do already have those understandings in place, because otherwise the rest of this is going to be a bit confusing for you. Okay, so let's have a look at what we are doing today. So today we are basically practicing converting between decimals, percentages, and fractions with numbers that are a little bit more complex than, half or a quarter or 1 out of 5. So if you are converting from decimals to percentages, to write a decimal as a percentage, you just multiply it by 10. So 0.27. How do you write that as a percentage? It's pretty easy. 0.27 times 10 is 27. And that's it. 0.27 is the same as 27%. If you had a number like 0.271, you would have 27.1%. Okay, so that is a pretty easy way to do it. Now, going the other way is pretty simple as well. To write a percentage as a decimal, you just divide by 100. So say I've got 96%. Then I would just divide that by 100, and that would be 0.96. And that's it. So it's pretty easy. The maths behind it, the reasoning behind it is basically that 96% is the same as 96 out of 100, which you should already know, which means there are 96 hundredths. So remember, that's a tenths column, that's a hundredths column. So you put the 96 in those columns, and that's why. But basically, the shortcut that you just have to remember is that you just divide it by 100. Divide 96 by 100, and you get 0.96. 6. So that is an easy conversion to make. Some of the others are a little bit harder. So let's have a look at going from fractions to percentages. From fractions to percentages. So to write a fraction as a percentage, first thing you have to do is find the equivalent fraction that is either over 10 or 100 or 1,000. So let's have a look. Say we've got 12 over 30. Okay, how do I convert that to over 10 or 100? Well, first of all, I think I'm going to simplify it. That would make it a bit easier. So 12 over 30. It looks like they can both be divided by 10. But divided by 3. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4, and divided by 3 equals 10. So the fraction 12 over 30 is the same as 4 over 10. And now, once I do that, 4 over 10 is the same. Then you can change it over to what would it be out of 100. So 4 over 10 is the same as 40 out of 100. And therefore, 40 out of 100 is 40%. Okay? So step 1, change it to something where it goes over 10 or 100 or 1,000, and then that will help you. Okay? So to go from percentages or fractions, you need to figure out the percentage number over 100, and then you just simplify if you can. So for example, 48% is the same as 48 over 100. And then now I'm looking at that going, how can I simplify that? What can they both be divided by? Well, first of all, I'm going to divide them both by 2 because that's easy. So 24 over 50. Can I divide that anymore? Well, I know that I can divide by 2 again. So 12 over 25. Now, looking at that, I don't think I can anymore. No, 12 over 25. I don't think they have any more common denominators. Am I wrong? 12 can't divide by 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. No, I think that's it. So 12 over 25 is the same as 48%. Okay. All right. Finally, how do we convert from decimals to fractions? Now, I left this one to last because it does look a little bit more complicated in that you kind of have to take multiple steps. So first of all, to convert from a decimal to a fraction, you have to figure out how many tenths, hundreds, and thousands there are. Then you use this knowledge to create a fraction over 10, 100, or 1,000. Then simplify if you can. So say I've got 0.72. All right, I've got 7 tenths and 2 hundredths. So 72 hundredths. So I'll do 72 over 100. And now I can simplify and see how I can divide that. So again, I know that I can divide this by 2. So 36 over 50. Can I do that anymore? Can I divide by 2? Or 3? Or 4? Or 5? Or 6? Or 7? Or 8? Or 9? Nope. So 36 over 50 is the simplest form of 0.72. Great. All right. So to convert from fractions to decimals, same thing, you've got to find the equivalent fraction that's over 10, 100, or 1,000, then figure out how many tens, hundreds, thousands there are, put them in correct columns, and then you've got the decimal number. So I've got 13 over 25. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, so the easiest way to do this would be to turn it into 100 down the bottom, which means I need to multiply this by 4, which means I need to multiply this by 4. What is 13 times 4 is 52. 52 over 100. And therefore, 13 over 25 is the same as 52 over 100. There's 100th, 2 hundredths, and 50 hundredths. So, or 5 tenths. So 0.52. Okay. And that is basically how you convert between all the different combinations of fractions, decimals, and percentages. Have a go looking at this video, have a go at doing some of the activities yourself. If you get stuck, then come back to the video and find the correct one and see if that will help you. If not, then ask a teacher. Once you finish the activity, remember to post a prove it on Seesaw. The easiest way to do a prove it is to basically show yourself solving one of the questions or a few of the questions in the activities that I've given you. Make sure that you do a prove it. That is when you're done. When you've done the video, then the activity, then the prove it, that's when you're done with the WAL in general. Okay, cool. Good luck, and I'll see you next time.